Okay, so today I am going to be attempting to make some Lomekwian and Oldowan style stone tools. So I'm at a nature preserve near my hometown right now, and I'm gonna look in a stream bed for some stones that would be good for making these kinds of tools that the hominins from hundreds of thousands of years ago would have used to make the tools that they needed to survive. The storms we've had this week, everything's very flooded. I hope that the stream I want to get my rocks from isn't too flooded to wade in. And as a backup plan, in case I can't find any good rocks around where I live, which, I mean, I'm in Northwest Ohio, it's not the greatest area to find these kinds of rocks in, but just in case I can't find any, I also have my brother picking up rocks from the Lake Erie shoreline, which is supposed to be much better conditions. Oh man, okay. So if you can believe it, this is normally just a tiny little stream, maybe half of this width and half of this depth. Look, I don't know how many rocks I'm gonna get from this if I can't even see them. Like, usually water's perfectly clear, you can see to the bottom. So I'll see what I can do, but might need to rely on those rocks from Lake Erie. Look how fast it's flowing. That's crazy. But yeah, I looked around the banks and there are a few big rocks, like right here. Like, those are fairly big, they'd probably be a good size, but you can tell by the color and the like little scratches on them. Here, I can show you. Like, it scratches super easily, which means that's probably limestone, and those aren't good for making stone tools because instead of breaking into flakes when you hit them, they just kind of crumble away like that one just did, or they just scratch, and they're not ideal. Alright, so it's the next day now, and I think I have some good rocks. So a lot of these are from Lake Erie, and they're kind of mixed quality. So what you don't want is a very small rock, because then you get some flakes off of it and there's nothing left. You kind of want a bigger core rock. You don't really want something like a brick because it'll just crumble away. Can't have it too thin because you'll need to get flakes off of it in the first place. And a rock like this looks good. Like, you can see it's kind of glossy. Here's another one. Looks like it'd get some good flakes off of it, but it's very soft. Like, I can do this instead of scratching stone. Scratching this one, you can tell by the black marks on it from the black stone. So you don't really want to make a tool out of this, because as soon as you hit something with it, it's just gonna break after a few uses. The kind of rock that you don't want to use now is this like porous rock with all the holes in it. I mean, this one's kind of self-evident. If you try and hit it, it's not gonna create good flakes at all. But fear not, because, well, again, I don't live in an area for perfect Oldowan and Lomekwian tool making. I did, I think, get some good rocks. This one I found in a park, and as you can see, I kind of started making some flakes. It's not very hard, but it's harder than a lot of the other ones, and you can kind of chip off some good flakes from it. These two are from the edge of a pond, and they were cracked, so I didn't want them anymore. This one already had a flake chip off it. Let me see. Yeah, this is the flake. And this is a pretty good flake from just natural wear. So I'm gonna try and, I think it went right around there, yeah. Okay, so the first kind of tool I'm gonna be trying to make, I don't know if I'll succeed, is the Lomekwian tool style, Lomekwian tool industry, which was one of the first kind of stone tools that archaeologists discovered. These ones, they're pretty simple, pretty easy to make. They were generally just made by somebody taking, this would actually be a better rock to do it with, so I'm gonna use this as an example, but I'm not gonna actually make the tool yet. They would just take a rock like this, and they would find an anvil rock, which was usually just another cobble, and they would just smash the rock on it to try and break off some flakes. So in order to do that, I have my work gloves on, which won't protect me if I smash my fingers, but they'll protect me from sharp edges. And I have my safety goggles on, obviously, so that flakes don't go into my eyes, and the rest of my skin's pretty well protected. I don't know if this will work well or at all. I'm not an ancient hominin. I don't have much experience with making stone tools. I think I should just, here, I'll rotate this around so I have a better corner to work with. You probably can't see it, but there's a corner over here which should make the striking angle a bit better for making these tools. Alright, here goes nothing. That last one knocked my camera down, but no progress yet. So I'm going to try a few more times. I will say this rock might be a little thick tools with. That sounded promising. Right, so that one was a success. Yeah, if you can see exactly where it broke off right there. And let's see what we got from that. I'm sure there were several more pieces, but we got these 3 flakes are what I found from that one. These 2 are very small, very brittle. This one is a little more usable. It's a very small flake, I won't lie. I was hoping for bigger, but we'll try again. This still has a good edge to it. It's sharper than it looks on camera. Oh yeah, there's one. You could definitely cut into a fruit with this, or peel some, like butcher some meat. It's a useful tool. So, I tried with this rock a bunch more times on camera. I couldn't break it, and I was kind of like crushing my finger. It's not a tool industry for the weak, but anyways, off camera, I was like, maybe I'll try this one, because I thought this one would be too small to do anything with, but like, I was like, maybe I should just try. So I hit this one on a few times, immediate results. And again, I should have done this on camera. I wish I had now, because I wasn't expecting it to work so well. What I did is I smashed it this angle, and it broke this huge flake off. Somewhere around there. I'm not getting it right. You can see like where that kind of lines up with the existing fractures, and we got all these other like smaller flakes, which I'm not going to use. Look at how sharp that edge is. I mean, obviously it's not like knife sharp, but you can get stuff done with that. Even though this is a little bit of a softer rock, it's not the flint that you really want to use. And this is what they use. This is one of the things they use from this tool industry. Here, I'll set this down where I'll remember it. The other way they use this is, and I didn't really finish chipping this. I kind of started, but it wasn't really working. I did not want to ruin what I already had. Is that edge is also pretty sharp. And this rock is kind of heavy. So they would take this, they would use it, pretend the stick is an animal bone. They would just break it open with this, and then they would eat the marrow inside. Obviously, a animal bone is a lot tougher than a stick, but you get the idea. And since these are heavy, they're rocks, and they have that artificial point, which is pretty rare from natural wear, it lends itself really well for a crushing or bashing tool. Okay, so here we have a flake that I gently washed off a little bit, because again, I just found this in the mud. We have a small orange, and like I said, this is a soft rock and it's very grainy. So it, like, even when I was just drying it off, or when I like hit that axe in the mud, it already dulled the edge. So I don't know how well this is gonna work, and it would work much better if it was made with flint. Couldn't find any flint. But here we go. I'm gonna try and cut this. Look at that. Oh, you can't see. Look at how well that's doing. Wow. I mean, like kind of do that with my fingernails, but I can't get as deep as this. Let's see how deep you can get it. I mean, like, that's to the fruit. You can see the orange juice on it. Can't do that with my nails. It works pretty well, I'd say. Again, this isn't even made out of the kind of rock that they were going to do it with. There you go. Lomekwian tools. And so the ancient hominins would use this kind of stuff to, again, peel meat off of bones to like butcher, or they would use it to cut tough plant fibers like an orange peel or something stronger. Obviously, you wouldn't like really need a tool to peel an orange if you were determined enough, but definitely make it faster. Pretty useful if you lived hundreds of thousands of years ago. Okay, so before we get into the next set of tools, which is the Oldowan tools, there's two things I want to say. First of all, I hit this first rock some more just to see if anything would happen. And I did get this flake, which is a lot bigger, which is typical for Lomekwian tools. Since they were coming from flatter and larger stones, the flakes are much larger, like bigger than even this. The other thing is this whole time I've been talking about how there's no good rocks near where I live in Northwest Ohio. And I kind of want to explain why that is. So when the Lomekwian and Oldowan tools were like first being produced, which was like 2-3 million years ago, hominins were in Africa at the time, and over time they like spread out to Asia and Europe. But that many million years ago, we were still in the middle of like the last ice age, so the polar ice caps were way down south, and they were slowly receding, and as they receded, they unearthed like new fresh cobblestones that lended themselves really well to these tool makings. And as they receded, like new rivers would be created from the ice melt, which would just unearth even more. And so, and I'm not saying it was like easy to find these rocks, but it's a lot easier than it is in developed Northwest Ohio, where I would be worried about like trespassing on people's property and like stealing from private land, and I can't like get to a lot of the good sites. Right, so the other tool industry I want to go over was the Oldowan tools, which are much more advanced than Lomekwian tools. Given the trouble I had with the Lomekwian tools, I'm even less confident that I'm gonna pull these off. But so the Oldowan tools, rather than just taking one big stone and bashing it on another that was on the ground, the Oldowans actually took a hammerstone, which I really don't have any good examples of, unfortunately. but it was more of a rounded stone. Take like the top of this stone without all the algae on it and make that like that round, not this flat. But I mean, I think this will work fine for my purposes, so I can still like hit things with it. They would take this hammer stone, which was like a hard round stone. They would take a slightly softer and a sharper stone like their flint, and they would like hit it like this. Here, I'll show you better. They would hit it like this to make more controlled flakes. So they used like core stones to get the flakes on, similar to the Lomekwian tools, but on a smaller scale. But they also sometimes use these cores as choppers to like break bones. So I'm gonna try and make those. Oldowan technology is much more advanced. Even if I don't get it, I think it serves as a staple to how much more cognitively advanced these early hominids are than we might give them credit for. So let's try. Alright, so this is going to be what I'm using as my hammer stone. You kind of hit this with the hammer stone, you kind of catch the flake. That's more promising. Already got a little flake off that. Pick it up. There you go. Up to the other. Let's try again. Keep it this way. We're making progress on this, actually. So right now I'm kind of trying to make an Oldowan chopper, which they would ordinarily use a much rounder stone than I'm using for. Like round as in this way. Let's see. But yeah, I mean, I think we're doing okay with this one so far. Oh yeah. Look at that. I mean, that's a tool. You could use that. Let's try it. Let's try it real quick. Let's see how sharp it is. It's pretty sharp. It's not flint sharp. I mean, that's what I've been saying the whole time. You guys already know. Let's see. I can't switch the camera, so I hope this is a good angle. Let's see how well this pretty light, admittedly hand axe, does against this pretty soft stick. Let me cut through it. Let's try a harder one. Could I do that with my fist? Yes. But that hurt. Couldn't break a bone with my fist, that's for sure. Alright. So another important topic that I wanted to go over was how archaeologists know that these tools were being made that many years ago. I mean, someone could see this and just be like, dang, that looks a lot like a rock. That's what I thought when I was like first looking at pictures, doing these labs. Like, I see this and I'm like, yep, that's a rock. So first of all, I'm gonna look at what natural wear looks like. You might remember this rock from the beginning. I didn't actually end up doing anything with, but that's why I'm here with it. So this and this are just natural wear. I didn't do anything with these, even though there's that pretty obvious chip and crack in there, and this kind of looks like a flake. You can see from my Lomekwian tools, that's what we're gonna do first. There's the anvil rock, there's the core rock. On the core rock, a lot of this, the darker stuff you see, was natural wear. The rock broke on its own, or by like falling or something, not intentional. But the lighter side, it kind of blends in at first, but then you turn it over, you can see all these strike marks where I was hitting it, trying to break it, and I missed. I bet like if you looked over here, yeah, there's somewhere I was trying to break it and I couldn't succeed. All that like white stuff. I mean, that'll preserve over millions of years. And on the anvil rock, this one's a little less changed, but again, it's even more obvious. You can see all these strike marks where I hit it. It's very chalky right now. See, that's a little better, but you can still see like little marks and indentations from where I hit it and accidentally chipped the big rock. And also, they look around and they find these little flakes on the ground, which again could be from natural wear, I guess, but if they're like this, or they'll find the flakes to be actually used for tools, like some of these are ones from the big rock. These look a little more intentional, or they'll like find these far away from the river where they would end up naturally. And the second is for the Oldowan tools. Now again, I would see that on the ground. I would think, yep, looks like a rock. But with the Oldowan, it's even more obvious. And this is why the Oldowan was actually, I don't want to say discovered, but like the Oldowan was like classified and recognized way before the Lomekwian tools were, because these are much more obvious. Because that curved edge I've made, I only did one side, that curved edge, there's really no way you're gonna drop the stone or the stone's gonna like wear down naturally to make that shape. And again, if I had worked with this a little longer, it would be even better. But like, yeah, there's no way that that's gonna naturally make that curved edge or the signs of wear that you would get from using this from a long time. Again, going back to the other evidence, you'll get these flakes, like these much bigger, more obvious flakes. You'll see these stones far away from the riverbanks that they were found, these hammer stones. You'll find these in river or lake beds. You'll find these like in the middle of a woods where there was never a riverbed. And so that's a clue. And also, you can see they're pretty visible because they match this stone. But like these little flakes are also evidence that an Oldowan tool was being made. That's how the archaeologists know about these tools and how they were being made.